Welcome back and to another video in the Design League playthroughs, and this one is by richnufc99 and we're looking at a delta theme with barrancas and coastline. I mean, it's raised way up, but so we're not quite on the coast, but it looks really interesting. So as you can see, lots of parallel fairways. We can talk about those in a second. Really cool views. The delta backdrop for this sort of stuff is just great, the way it extends down there. And we got some, I can see some central line bunkers and yeah, interest. And we've got some houses around the edge as well, which is a nice way of doing it. So let's leap into this one. First of all, love the planting down here, and actually the way you've done it with relatively, I won't say minimal effort, but minimal object usage because of how you've done it by sinking the trees down. Makes a lot of sense, and it fills a lot of space, and it works because it's kind of disguising those tree trunks, which is very kind of sandbelty sort of style. It's a little less effective, I'd say, on the right hand side. I'd probably wall this off a little bit more, or take these. I think you could open up the view on one of these sides. It's maybe a little closed off here. I like this. I'd probably move this tree just a touch this way, probably into that gap, and then you're opening it up a little bit more. Let's look at what we've got. So waypoint is directing us down here, which feels a little unsafe. The central bunker would be it would be nicer if that weren't in shadow, so that we can see it. This is a nightmare to sculpt because you want this fairway being high, you want this bit being low, so therefore you've got to try to preserve high side here and also back here, so it gets difficult. Really, your way is just, say, drop this side a bit more. Also think you'll do yourself a lot of favours if, when encircling these bunkers, if you just make it a circle or like a smoother shape, so rather than following the bunker perfectly, which frankly I don't think looks it looks quite messy anyway. There's just, no matter how neatly you do it, I think it looks a bit awkward of like mowing a tiny little tongue of fairway there. Just make it a smooth shape down here and around the outside, and I think it will look and play a lot better. Well, the wind has stayed with us from last round. Now, I like this hole design though. So we're starting off with a par 4, but lengthy. We want to be taking on this side for a better look down the green. The more left we go. I mean, firstly, we're going to have to lay up if we go left anyway. But we might be able to carry this bunker in normal conditions with this driver. And then you can probably feed it down to there, which would be interesting. I think we're going to have to be taking on this side, particularly in this wind. We can't lay up. Good sightline general. That's not good. That's really not good. Good sightline generally. I like that we could see all the way to the pin. Grasses. I think back here you went with like some of the drier grasses. They're like, yeah, the whiter ones here. I think mix your grasses up a little bit rather than just using loads of the one type. The bright green one I think works well actually against the bare terrain here nicely, and the ferns. I love this bit of planting, that works really nicely. Yeah, this area looks great. On the heavy rough, honestly I'd probably just not plant any grass, or if you do, surround it with bushes. The green grass on the green heavy rough looks a little less good. I mean, this could go anywhere. Yeah, or nowhere it would seem. But yeah, I like the kind of barranca planting you've done, and you've got an interesting variety of trees. Like mostly the delta ones, but I do think that ash lends a little bit, so do the elms. Like, it's an interesting look. Kind of going for a little bit of the Andre stuff, where you'll have seen, or like, I think we'll have seen, put a tree down, put a bush at the base of it. I think works even better if you can then lead a couple of bushes off to it, so that it doesn't just look like you've got tree and bush and then nothing grows around it. Like you've done here, where it kind of grows out, probably try to link a couple of these up and they'll look a little less isolated. This is looking good though. I'm really enjoyed this first hole. Haven't played it well at all. I will say I don't really care for the green texture. It's a bit neon green compared to the other ones you've used. It's clearly not from the same texture palette as the fairway or the heavy rough. And generally those are, like, sticking with the same group is a good place to start. Views through there are good, like, really like it. Okay, we're now hitting good. Okay, so we're not hitting straight back in the opposite direction. Short par 4. Have you made it OB long? Oh, I think you've missed a little bit. I mean, it's as good as OB. I'd probably make it OB just to make it visual, but I'm not really too fussed either way. I would like if it's kind of more of a personal thing. Red green slopes dunking you off into heavy rough or light rough I've never really been a fan of. I tend to rather surround with fairway, but I can understand why you're doing it. Generally think this is a really interesting hole. I think this bit of fairway works if you lose the tree to allow people to actually access it, because I don't see anyone trying to play to there. I guess you can run it down a little bit. This is a great hole. Really like it. Love the natural terrain stuff here. It just works really well. I don't know that I love the fairway going all the way from tee down to here, but I think that's personal preference. Okay, do we go for it, do we not? I think we probably do. Huh. Okay. Now I think I probably would have had a better angle if I'd gone right as well, but I felt if I could get to the front I'd have a decent splash shot. The bunkering is not perfect, the bunker sculpting. I think you could generally bump, I mean the usual thing with high side, low side. I think this wants to be your high side, but you're then fighting with the fact that the land goes all the way down here, so you probably need to lower the front, and then you can keep this at the same sort of height and still have the bunker working. This one works much better. There's a shot, sort of. That'll do. That though is a really good short par 4. Just, you haven't used too many hazards on the fairway, but it's got a lot of playable interest by what you've done with the green and the length of the hole. This looks great as well. Love, 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 love this. This little area is really nicely done. And it's just subtle, it's not too in your face. Cross hazard's good. I don't think you need to take the fairway all the way back to here. I don't think you've got anyone playing there. Probably cut it off there, and then you can plant a little bit more in here. Or just, yeah, probably just extend this so it feels like that is maybe a little more natural if you've got a bit more of this base terrain. But this is great as well. Love the look of this tee. Sightlines have been great so far. It's not a great tee shot, but it will do. Actually, for this pin, I feel like going this side probably gives me a little bit of a better look because of where the bunker is. I think you could smooth out this bit of the green a touch. I get that the bunker's there, it just... just trying to work out what the green slopes are doing. Kind of everything flowing away from this pin, which I'm not massively enamoured by. It's tough hole, or at least with this pin is. That needs to go. I do really like the planting you've done. I'm not sure you need the white flowers. I was kind of thinking this on the last hole when we saw that little group there. I just actually quite liking, I think we've seen so much with different takes on Delta. Actually, basic sorry, basic's the wrong word. Like standard delta is a really good look. The dried out kind of trees that you've got the most part of, and just the different trees. I don't think you need the flowers. Lovely green site for a par 3. I think I'd have liked if you just brought the natural area a little closer to the green. Bring it up here and just have the green peeking over that would look absolutely dynamite. So you probably want one more. I did wonder if that would get there. It tried. That's a good look as well. Yeah, I think this is your best planting, like this kind of wasty area. So almost, I think, use that a little bit more. Another solid hole though. So this one's more of a narrows, smaller green. But I guess it's kind of taking a wedge shot if you go for it. Layout makes more sense to me here. Although into the wind probably could have hit driver. Yeah, green's a touch on the small side. I think increasing it by a third would probably work. I don't mind it being small, it's just... I think it would give you a bit more in the way of pinnable area, and the problem with small greens is you can't really make the slopes very interesting. You've done about as good a job as you could on this one. Not quite there. Struggling to make birdies. Oh, we finish off with a par 5. Maybe gone a touch dark. I don't know if you needed as many clouds as you've got, but it happens. I feel like here you could have joined the fairway, or kept the fairway running this way. This little appendage, it's like if it's going all the way out this way, you might as well connect it, or you keep it here and you don't connect it and it's heavy rough in between. I think it's kind of, it's so close, like we might, yeah, got to the point where we may as well. Otherwise this looks great. Native area again, and there's a little bit of this where if you drop this bit of land here, you'll see it on the flyover in a second, you'll get an even better sight line through to that bit of planting you've done. Get a lucky bounce. There we go. Oof, tough green to get at. I like the extras. The little clubhouse area is great. We've done a take on an Arctic Fury cottage. I think for something like this, I would like where you're allowing ground game and encouraging someone to land it here and roll it on. Let's give it a bit more fairway around here so that they can land up here and roll it on the back as well. We don't just need to go right in at the front of the green. But I like that you've done that. That's good. That's not it. I think bunker sculpting isn't quite there. There's been quite a few where they're just... it's hard to point out, they're just going to need a little bit of flattening. There we go. I mean, that was a lot of fun. There's some really good ideas, some lovely planting there. There's not too much to critique. I think technically some of the bunker sculpting definitely could be smoothed out a touch. Maybe some scaling stuff with green sizes and fairway, and kind of occasionally planting getting a little bit too close, but not much at all. And I thought it played really well. Hazard placement was interesting. Yeah, enjoyed it. I hope that helps, and best of luck.